Yeah, and you mentioned in the introduction people not liking the sound of their voice. And isn't it interesting because when we're kids, we don't think about that.
Mm.
Even now, I guess kids are more and more hearing their voice played back with, iPhones and things like that. When we're younger, we like hearing it back. It's when we get older that we develop this loss of identity with our voice. Our relationship gets strained, and that's something that I'm trying to bring back together.
Yeah, totally. It is a huge hurdle for a lot of people hating the sound of their own voice. Like I hear it a lot from my clients. And yeah, I think it is partly to do with the fact that like your voice sounds a bit different out loud when it's recorded than it does in your own head. And I know that like from my experience in radio, like the more you practice, the more the voice in your head kind of merges with that recorded voice. But do you have any tips on how people can like get over that hurdle and start to embrace their voice?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I joke that I have claw marks on the inside of my office door from people like, not liking the sound of their own voice. And I'm like, no, I'm holding you hostage until you love it. This is my job. It's a thing called voice confrontation. And the reason we sound different is because when we speak, it's like it's inbuilt shower voice. Your voice always sounds good in the shower because we're hearing it through bone conduction. Like we're hearing it through our skull.
Mm.
Whereas when we hear our voice on a recording, it's coming through the air. So we're hearing it through air conduction and it never sounds as good. Right? So we always think we sound better. But you're right. A lot of it is that familiarity and learning to love your voice. You're a podcaster. I'm a podcaster. If we didn't like the sound of our voice, it would make the editing job quite horrific.
Absolutely.
So a part of it is listening to the voice and listening to your voice like it's not your own. So record something to your phone and play it back and be like, this is not my voice. This is a friend's voice. And listen with
Mm.
love.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can be a like psychological shock, can't it? Where we hear a voice and we don't feel that connection. We're like, oh my gosh, is that us?
Mm.
So learning to love our voice is closely linked to learning to love ourselves and developing that self-love relationship where we're not so hypercritical of everything we do.
True. I hadn't thought about it that way, but that is actually a great point. And I think in New Zealand, definitely, and possibly in Australia as well, there's this thing called tall poppy syndrome, where we're kind of conditioned from a young age to kind of hate on ourselves a bit. And I think that as we grow older, like you say, as we were kids, we didn't really have this so much. But as we've grown older, we've kind of been conditioned to like, why do you like the sound of your voice so much? Like you shouldn't like the sound of your own voice. You need to like be quiet a little bit. And
Yeah, come down a notch. Absolutely. Tall poppy syndrome is a thing in Australia as well. And I've even had people in workshops. So I run corporate workshops and I often ask that question, who likes the sound of their voice? And I once had somebody come up to me in the break and say, oh, Sal, I actually really do like my voice, but I could not possibly say that in front of other people. So you're absolutely right. There's this feeling that we have to be self-deprecating. And look, I'm all for a bit of self-deprecation. If you read the book, you'll see that like most of it is self-deprecating jokes. But it has to be a joke. The thing is when the joke actually impacts how you feel about your life and the goals that you reach. You're in business and, I see so many business owners, especially women, holding themselves back from doing what they want to do and making the impact they can have because they're like, oh, what will Jenny from primary school think? Or, I don't want to look like I'm too big for my boots. And so I'll just, hold back. It's like far out at the end of your life. These are not the things that you're going to regret. They're not the things that you're going to worry about. So there's definitely a difference between confidence and arrogance, between assertiveness and aggressiveness. So I think that it's just us learning to find that balance and walk that fine line so we can absolutely be self-confident without coming across like we're totally up ourselves.
Totally. Now, you say that practice is not always the best path to becoming a great speaker because there might be like a mental block or a speaking belief that's in your way. Do you have some tips that people can identify like what that mental block might be and work towards breaking it down?
Yes. Love that you brought this up. It's the speaking story. Our physical voice is a megaphone for our inner voice. You can learn all of the surface level projection techniques and body language and all of these things. But if inside you are holding this belief that you don't deserve to be heard, or no one wants to listen to you, or, oh, my voice is disgusting, or I'm too loud or too high pitched, or whatever it is, chances are it is a story that is not yours. It's been implanted somewhere along the line. And we are just reacting, replaying that story. It's also worth noting that some things that people have done for our benefit can actually have a negative impact as well. So, for example, lots of clients I work with, they have had an older sibling speak up for them. So they say their whole life, my older sister spoke for me.
True.
And the older sister would be like, yes, that's my little sister. I'm protecting her. I'm standing up for her. But in doing so, they've robbed her of her voice. And so then she's grown up always feeling like someone else is a better spokesperson for her than she is. So it's working through that story of learning that, okay, yeah, isn't it great that people advocate for you? But you know what? You could advocate for yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I remember as a kid, I'm one of four. I'm the third child of four.
Oh, I'm one of four too. I'm number two.
So, as middle children, we've often had to fight our way up. I remember from a young age, my mum was always kind of shy and introverted. And so she raised us purposefully wanting us not to be like that. And so if we wanted to go return something at the shop, even at like age 6 or 7, she would make us go and talk to the person at the counter and be like, you can tell them you need to return it because of this or whatever. And like she'd make us do it. And I feel like it actually really helped.
Oh, definitely. One of my favorite stories is Bill Gates, who in the documentary, his sister talks about this, how he spent lots of time in his room as a little boy doing, genius computer electronics works. And she said that he hated even coming out for dinner. Like he just would stay in his room forever if he could. But their mum, she did a lot of philanthropic work and ran events and things like that. And she used to make Bill, at the age of 14, go to these events and stand on the door and be the person that greeted all the people, like an introvert's nightmare, right? She had to stand there and do all of that. And he himself says that that is what enabled him to build Microsoft to what it was. Because if he didn't have those communication skills, that ability to speak and use his voice and interact with people, then he would still be in his bedroom and potentially never have brought those ideas to life. So this is another reason why I'm so passionate about what I do, because it's not just about being a professional speaker. Some people I work with want to do that, but most people, it's not their goal. They want to use their voice as the vehicle to share their message. This is why people podcast and people do a lot of their training and coaching and speaking. It's not the speaking itself they want to be known for. It's just they want to be able to use the voice as that beautiful vehicle to share that message. Because when you hear someone's voice, it's the closest thing to touching them. It's like so much more effective than writing a note or an email, because people can feel that vibrational connection. And we don't want to feel that block.
So for the people who maybe are feeling shy or introverted, or like maybe they are feeling like Bill Gates before his mum forced him out into that door, what are your tips on how you can gain that confidence and start speaking with purpose?
So start small. So you might be not even doing videos on social media yet, having dreams to speak on stage. You don't want to go from 0 to hero, because that's going from the comfort zone to the fear zone straight away. And this is what happens with some people I work with as well, is that haven't built the skills and they've been thrown into some very challenging speaking scenario, like up in front of a massive audience. And maybe you've had this happen to you as well, where it's just been too much too soon. I remember this at year 9 camp when I told the person I couldn't ride a bike. I know this is kind of an embarrassing story. I told them I couldn't ride a bike. I wasn't even confident on concrete. I just had never really done it. And next thing, we're on this little mountain biking course. Like, I literally just kind of like veered the bike and fell off before we'd even got over with the first little bunny hop.
Oh, no.
It was too much for me. And this is the same thing with speaking, when people are not doing anything and then they're going, oh, let's speak on a big stage. So I'd say look at where you're at and see what your stretch zone is. Maybe it is starting to send voice notes to people on Instagram. Maybe it is speaking on Instagram stories. Maybe it is going on a podcast with a trusted friend, and work out what that stretch is, and then just start using your voice. You learn through the practicing, and do that little exercise I mentioned earlier where you put your camera up or you put your voice memos on and start speaking. And you can read your shopping list. You can read a little bit out of a book. That's a good idea, like a book that you're reading, just read it aloud and then listen back. You know, we want to learn to love our voice. It's like we need to wine and dine it. And if there's that feeling of, oh my gosh, I don't want to do it, there's that resistance, then it's kind of like a pet. If we keep like not feeding the dog and pushing it away and kicking it, it's going to turn around and bite us.
Yeah, at least buy me a drink first. Come on.
Exactly. Bring it in, wine and dine, get to know it, have a full-blown love affair with your voice. Again, you don't need to make this public. This is all just happening in your energy and in your mind. And then start small. And if you're really feeling this block, like you're really feeling like, oh, there's something with my throat chakra, or there's just some reason I can't do it. There's this fear of what people think. And it's worth noting, people aren't afraid of speaking. Some people are. It's called glossophobia, the fear of the tongue. But most people are okay to speak in certain scenarios. It's just particular areas brings up existing fears, the fear of being seen, the fear of being exposed, the fear of being judged, the fear of being rejected. You know, so that's why speaking is this beautiful invitation to work through fears that are inevitably holding you back in other areas of your life. So, you know, when the voice flows, so many other things in your life begin to flow because we're releasing the block that is affecting you in your relationships, your career, your health even.